for them. Magnetic energy powered thrusters, magnetic energy powered jets, all kinds of stuff they want me to develop for them. They just didn't want to pay my price, so we're negotiating.
Well, all those that they advertise they're not the same, right? Yours are big. How big are yours? Are they bigger than the semi, the 18-wheelers we drive on bases?
Well, that would be about I can fit a gigawatt in that size unit. I can get a gigawatt of power. One of my units, the size of a tractor trailer can put out a gigawatt of electricity. That's why that level is not being released yet. That level will be on military bases first. What the United States military is proposing is that my generators be installed in the Navy base in Saudi Arabia and the Navy base in Kuwait, and then we do the desalination from the Navy bases, and then we ship water and electricity to the OPEC countries. We don't let them have the generators.
But they're not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. No, it's going to come out gradually. It's not going to be out in public right away.
Right.
Janet,
it's going to be
your
a long
turn.
time before it comes. Can you hear me? My husband's was running his smoothie maker. So I had to mute you, but you're back on. Yeah.
Wait. Are we taking a break?
He's done making it.
Yeah, we'll take a break for a moment and come back. But Janet had to ask you a question. Go ahead, Janet, and then we'll take a break. Take a couple of minute break.
I was just waiting for my husband to done with the smoothie. When we come back from the break, I'd like to talk about how we can get this out into the population to make an effective change for the planet Earth and all of its peoples, and not just keep it in military use or secret use, but how we really, because that will free humanity. Right now,
and that is a very good question, and we should talk about that after the break.
After the break. So that's my question for after the break.
I'm an old man, and I got to go pee. Okay.
I'll do the same. So back in a few minutes after the commercial break. Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right, folks, we're going to let them take a quick break, if you don't mind. And if Ken, are you still here?
No, I'm trying to get in. I'm just sit here.
Okay, so did you say you were trying to get in? You wanted to talk? Or
every time there's calls, I jump in, but I got talked over, so I'm just sitting here being quiet.
Well, all right. If you'd like to share anything, you can, and I'll put the little break on. Let me see if I can get into this, but don't know that it's going to come across. No. Okay, well, I guess you got it then. You'll just do the break for us. Ken, what would you like to talk about? I can't bring it in anyway. So what would you like to share? Because apparently with you working at NASA, and I was, in and out of country 80 to 93 myself, but I don't understand a lot of why we're going to keep patents at a certain level, except we look after our financial wealth at various levels, and I believe that's part of it. Ken, and you work there, and you remember we need all those engineering jobs, especially in the space administration, and we hated to see a lot of jobs go away, which you lived through. And it was very disheartening, to have all these engineers all excited about going out in space. And you had to leave Grumman, didn't you? What year did you have to? My father-in-law and my husband was at NASA, and he had to leave, and Grumman switched my father-in-law up to where you worked, in Bethpage Grumman, right?
Oh, well, it's really
you want to talk about that?
I'll go ahead and cover it.
Okay, we're gonna. Oh, you're talking to Kat. Okay, yeah. I want to make. I took a break too. Yeah. So
well, Ken, do you need a break?
No, I don't need a break.
Yeah, because we're still live.
If you're going to ask me to answer statements.
Oh no, we're live.
All right, I'm off. I'm going to hang up.
Can I hear you? Yeah.
Don't hang up, Ken.
Don't know if Ken thought we were live or not, but he wanted to talk, so he got upset, I think. I'm not sure. All right, Janet, I think you're asking if we gave Dan a break. We did. So, and you've had a break. So, anyway, Janet, why don't you try to call him real quick, the 505 number, and tell him to come back, that we were just taking a break, but he was live. Can you do that for me?
All right. I'm back.
Okay, Dan. Great.
Yeah.
Now Ken's on a little break, but Janet's going to check on him for me. So we'll be back in a few minutes, folks, with Janet and Ken. So, Dan, if you don't mind, what happened is Dr. Lessin comes home, and he's very regimental, and so he had a smoothie run in the back, and Ken had some kind of interference back and forth and couldn't get on. So he was wanting to talk, and he felt like he couldn't get in. So he's just taking a break now. So, and everybody listen, because I couldn't pull the break commercial up, but that's okay. Guess it wasn't meant to be. So where you're at right now, let me see if Janet's calling him. Janet, are you calling Ken? Yeah, she is, because I can't hear. All right, so back to everybody. This is our American Communication Online, and we use the acronym ACO, and this is TJ Morris ET Radio, so I'll do my little commercial. We're back for the second hour with Dan T. Cooper, Inventor of California, and he's had at least 20 years in the paralegal business with Attorneys of California. And he started at 62 years, roughly 3 years ago, to work for his own self as he's retired in the legal business. But his background was not only in patents, but tell us about this engineering. You have Dan T. Cooper Engineering. So you had electrical engineering or physics or just reading? You're a really good reader. How did that work? Crossover, just based on experience?
Yeah. I studied on my own. I had worked in civil engineering for quite some time. Before I concentrated in law, I was working in civil engineering from 89 to 93. I worked in civil engineering as an urban planner. I prepared tentative maps and stuff like that. Processed environmental. I wrote environmental impact reports mostly, and I worked with the engineers very closely. I did a lot of hydrology reports, stuff like that, sediment transport reports. I did a lot of that type of engineering work for civil engineering companies till 89 to 93, and then I got into law in 94. Paralegal work from that point on until I retired at I guess it was 2014. I retired in January 2014. I started my physics electrical engineering career. So yeah, I studied on my own, but of course I'd been working in civil engineering and I did electronics technician work for Westinghouse, so it wasn't that hard for me to pick it up. But yeah, you study on your own. Once you leave college, all college teaches you is how to read. But
basically, yeah. Or be disciplined in one or the other, right? You learn more quantum physics possibly, or if you want to do journalism, they'd like you to have a 4-year degree. But as an investigator, I took a little law enforcement, criminal justice, some forensics, English, a little psychology. But I was already working the whole time I was going to college, right? So it just depends on what you need. And then my certificates actually, the government accepted my certificates, in business and personnel information and using weapons and all that. They accepted my certificates, and then I had truck driving on and off bases, experience pulling for the Microsoft, U.S. Treasury, things like that. But I found out that my whole entire life prepared me for, going into communications and doing what we're doing, even though I started on television and radio when I was a child. So if you're like me, your whole life prepared you to do what you're doing now. Can you help us with global patenting now? Because it sounds pretty heavy, but it's really not, is it? You just pay so much to do global patenting because you just did it. So why don't you tell us how you got a global patent?
according to the 2014 treaty, the Paris Convention of 2014, anybody that files a provisional patent, the one-year patent, anybody that files a provisional patent, that provisional patent is good all over the world. You're granted a provisional all over the world according to the treaty. So anybody files in any other country a provisional patent, it's good all over the world. Everybody agreed to that. However, you have to turn your provisional within 1 year from the time that's granted, and mine was granted yesterday. From my most recent one on my 6th. That one was granted yesterday. But within a year, you have to file for the non-provisional. But that non-provisional, you have to file in all the 5 major regional offices if you want to get protection throughout the world. You have to file in all 5 of the major regional offices: Japan, the European Union, China, the United States, and what was the 5th? Just skipped my mind real quick. Anyway, there are 5 major regional offices you have to file. South Korea, I'm sorry. So there are 5 major regional offices you have to file a patent in to get worldwide protection of your non-provisional 20-year patent. But you're grandfathered in for 1 year when you file a provisional everywhere, no matter what. Wherever you file it, your 1-year patent is good in every country. But you only have 1 year to get it together to go for the full-blown, to submit for to get into the process.
Okay.
Right? You want to know more?
I'm following you. No, that's fine. I just wanted people to know the difference if they file in the United States versus, because back in the 89 to 94 when I was working, I had to do that, and I had to go over to Europe, and I had to pay attorneys. I had to pay attorneys in Washington, D.C. to do a lot of work. The attorneys out in the field, I guess, if you're not in Washington, D.C., to do the patent searches. So I paid some attorneys in Ohio. I was in Hawaii, so I had to pay them to do all the background checks in Hawaii, in the United States of America. Yeah, Janet, I can hear Sasha. I've muted you a couple times, but you're back on.
You still have to do that in all 5 regional offices. For me to take my not my.
I can't hear me at all. I'm muted. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
we can hear you. You're the only one on here.
Okay, because I was muted.
You thought you were muted?
So
yeah,
I was talking,
you were muted.
And you had muted me. I guess.
Oh, okay. I put you on and off. Yeah, I was pulling you back to see if it was you or Ken. Yeah. So did you hear Ken?
He's not picking up his phone. He's not picking up his phone. So sorry.
Okay. Well, he took a break.
All
right.
We'll have him back
go
next
ahead.
week maybe.
He'll do tomorrow night.
So
yeah.
we were talking about, or he'll do. So we were talking about before we went on this break. We were talking about what was I saying? Dan.
Well, he was talking about helping me go to explain to people the difference, because I had to file in each country,
right.
And he talked about the global patent for a year.
Before we went on to break, we were going to talk about how we can bring this to the world. How does this go from something that's used in the secret space program behind the scenes and it never gets passed down to humans, and how if this technology gets out to the world, it'll basically free humanity. So just envision that energy is free. Right away, all energy is free. You don't have to buy gas anymore. You don't have to pay for any kind of fossil fuels. The planes will run for free. Everything will run for free. So that's fine. That's just going to make the rich richer. How do we get it from the rich down to us to free humanity from this corporate economic slavery? So I'm asking Dan, what are your ideas for that? Because otherwise it's like big deal. So what? I mean, we won't be, humanity won't really benefit, except we won't die from fossil fuels killing the planet. But it doesn't really help us economically. So what are your ideas, Dan?
Well, the United States is, they're directing the show. As far as I'm concerned, because I'm a U.S. citizen, so I, according to U.S. law, I'm not allowed to serve any other country except the United States. The United States owns me by law. The United States owns every inventor that's a U.S. citizen by law. That's the law, okay? So they own me, and I'm not allowed to invent for anybody else. I can only invent for the United States. So the United States has told me They want to start with grid-sized generators, but very rapidly they're going to go into generators